It's been said that luck is the intersection of preparation and opportunity. Welcome to the Australian Hunting Backcountry podcast, where we will focus on all things hunting in the backcountry, not just in Australia, but everywhere that backcountry hunting is possible. My name is Tobias, and if you're a hunter with no backpacking experience, or even an expert, I would like you to join me as we explore gear, places, and technologies, hear lived experiences, different perspectives, and share the passion that people have for a hard-earned backpack hunt. I appreciate you being here with me as I try to increase the knowledge that will bring us better luck in the backcountry. The Australian Hunting Backcountry podcast is proud to welcome two new partnerships for 2024. Skeleton Optics Australia and On Track Meals are now both sponsors of the show. Skeleton Optics Australia is a family-run Australian-based business offering premium high-performance and durable sunglasses for active outdoor users. Skeleton Optics sunglasses use polarized Zeiss lenses and feature frames designed with lightweight and impact-resistant materials that provide a secure and comfortable fit. I personally now use Skeleton Optics sunglasses and would encourage you to reach out to Chris and Daniela if you would like further information on what glasses might suit you best. On-Track Meals are made in Brisbane and is a 100% Australian and veteran-owned business. On-Track Meals pride themselves on producing high-quality, shelf-stable, healthy, real food designed to be taken with you on your next adventure. Because the meals are not dehydrated or freeze-dried, they have retained all the flavour, don't require any water to be added, simply heat and eat, or they can even be eaten cold. They have a broad selection of meals with many more being planned and cater for some allergies and diet options. The coconut ginger chicken is now my new favourite, and On-Track Meals will be accompanying me on many future adventures. All right, welcome to this episode of Australian Hunting Backcountry. For now, I'm joined by Rick Bichel. Rick and I have been communicating via Instagram for a little while now. Rick has a upcoming backpack hunt in Victoria and sought a bit of advice from me, and we've been chatting back and forth. And I decided it'd be a great idea to get Rick on to the show to do a before and after series with him. So this is the before. This is going to be part one, where we're going to talk to Rick about the gear, the learnings, and all of the information he's sought before the trip. And then part two is going to be a debrief after the trip and what he's learnt and what worked and what didn't work and that sort of thing. So Rick, welcome and thanks again.
Thanks for having me, mate. It's a pleasure to be on the show and looking forward to my trip next week. It's the first sort of full solo hunt, backpack hunt. So be a lot of learning. I've done plenty of hunting down in the area that I'm going, but they're usually just a day trip or a couple of days in the hills, but hunting from the car. So I'm looking forward to
it. Yeah. I am jealous. I did a trip in May down there, and I was planning on coming back again, or going back again rather, in September, October, but unfortunately it just didn't work out for me. So I'm a bit jealous of you. So, Rick, we look at you to start with before we get into the nuts and bolts of it. So you said you've been hunting. You've done a few Sambar trips already. Just take us back to your introduction into hunting. How did it all start, and where did it all start for you?
Sort of a little bit when I was growing up with the family, but it was just more of a meat gathering sort of thing. Didn't think too much of it. Just thought it was natural part of life. Sort of swayed away from it once I moved down to Sydney 20 odd years ago, and first probably 10 years I was in Sydney, I did a lot of fishing and spearfishing, and that's what I was sort of zoned in on. And then over the last 10 years I've picked the rifle back up again and sort of eased into it. But the last probably 2 to 3 years I've been trying to get some really good animals, just concentrating especially on Sambar. Mm-hmm. First bug I got for that was about 2.5 years ago, and I went out with a good mate from down in Victoria. He took me up to a nice little spot at the back of Jamison, and I shot and lost my first big Sambar, and we tracked it for about 8 hours, couldn't find it. And after that, that's all I had in my brain. So the images that I had, every time I closed my eyes, all I did was thought about those Sambar, and I went back and forwards a few times chasing them. I passed up on some animals, missed opportunities, and then and then I picked up a couple of nice little block down the south coast when I was doing a build down there a couple of years ago, and Sam just come up by surprise. I was chasing a nice big rooster. I seen him fighting a couple of weeks before, had a beat on a nice stag, and I just could not get him to come out of the thick stuff, and gave out a little female call, and all of a sudden had a Sambar hind run through, then a little stag chased through. I'm like, what's going on here? Then all of a sudden I turned around and there was a rooster in behind me as well, and he sort of shimmied off, and then I gave out another call, and I heard the footsteps come back in behind me, and he was only about 15, 20 metres away from me, a big Sambar stag. I'm like, what are you doing here? And and that was, once I shot him, and he was a big one. He's 30-incher, especially for that area, especially this far north from Victoria, travelling 7 or 8 hours down to Mansfield, then up into the hills that many times, and then find him 2 hours from home's awesome. So I've done quite well on them, and it's just a bug that I've got for this animal. They're very cluey. I reckon they're the hardest to hunt out of all of them. I've shot most of the other species, but Sambar, just because of the terrain that you're in, the type of animal they are, they're just so zoned into everything, every little movement, every little bit of sound, and they have a sixth sense. They're an awesome animal to hunt. So that's my driving force at the moment. It's all I think about is Sambar. I love them. Awesome animal.
Yeah. I think anyone that's hunted Sambar for long enough has been through the same experience and heartache that you have about losing one. They seem to have this uncanny ability. It's almost like they've got an inReach, and they call for a helicopter, and they just disappear. And you think for sure you're
no sound.
And you'd be tracking blood and bits of lung or whatever, and you're thinking, oh, this guy's just going to be up ahead, and then hours later you're still searching around. They're incredible.
I tracked one for about 4.5 hours. The 28-incher I shot back in July, I shot him and he jumped up, took off, let him sit for 15 minutes, and then I walked over and there was no blood where our impact point. Found blood 2.5 hours later, about 120, 130 metres away uphill, so against what they normally do. And then took me another 2 hours. It looked like he put a bandage on, and then dropped a bit of blood, put a bandage on, and just walked off out of the bush. And then ended up finding him another 2 hours later, 140 metres, sort of tracked along the ridge, and found him sort of bedded up. He jumped up and tried to run, and put another one into him. But that was 4.5 hours of absolute heartache. My wife kept ringing me, telling me I had to come home because she had to go to work. I was like, I can't leave this animal in here. I need to find him. I need to make sure he's either dead or I need to put him out of his misery. So, but there was no blood. It's like they've got this uncanny ability to be able to cover up or roll muscle over the wound and just stop the blood coming out. They're an awesome animal. I love them.
Yep. All right. So, other than being addicted to Sambar hunting, what else is Rick Bichel?
My wife tells me I need to slow down a bit because I'm always busy. I'm always doing stuff. I'm never sort of sitting still. Every weekend I'm either out on the boat or I'm out in the bush. If I'm not, I'm working. I work as a construction site manager for a big tier 2 company. So very stressful, high responsibility job. So I use the bush and the water to sort of get myself back to level-headedness at the end of each week. And my wife, as I said, my wife tells me just to slow down, just choose one thing, but I can't. I just love doing what I'm doing. I've got my boys that are growing up; they're doing it as well. So I don't think I'll ever stop. And it's a good part. It's something that's good. Like you're not in the pub on the weekend. You're out. They're out on the black tarmac doing drives, which I love doing. I love being out on the road. And then once you hit the bush and the phone goes out of range, and it's just you and the bush and the animals that are in it. I don't know why people should be doing more of it. So I'm trying to get the word out, pushing it. Every time I've got a chance to talk about hunting, I'll talk about hunting. If I'm not talking about hunting, I'm talking about fishing. That's me in a nutshell. It's my life: fishing, hunting, outdoors, camping, forward driving. Just we've got a great country, and it's right on our doorstep. I'm in Sydney. We've got the Blue Mountains. We've got the national parks. We've got the water right close. It's a good part of the world. If I was to move anywhere, I'd probably move down to Vic, down towards Mansfield area, Jemison. I'd love to move to Northern Territory, but there's just not enough deer up there. I love Northern Territory, but I think Sydney's, for what it's worth, it's for what I do for work. It's where I need to be. It's a bit of a pain in the ass sometimes with the traffic, but we're pretty good, pretty centred to go on Queensland for good fishing and hunting, down to Victoria for good fishing and hunting, and we've got a lot of good hunting within a couple of hours of Sydney.
Yeah,
it's good. I like it's. I don't mind Sydney. It's a bit of a pain, as I said, a bit of a pain in the butt sometimes, but it's good. It's always something going on here. There's plenty of people here.
All right. So, what's the attraction for you then with the backpack hunting and going to Victoria? Why aim to do that if you've got hunting that's close by and good deer numbers?
Good question. Something about the Victorian bush. I wanted to do high country, but it's Cup weekend this weekend. So I don't know if you've ever been down there during a long weekend or when they open up the gates. It's absolutely insane, the amount of people and cars. And
I stay away from the place at those dates, those particular dates.
Yeah, so I'm staying a bit down lower, sort of back end of Mount Buller, Halkwa Hills, Halkwa Plains. I'm going to get dropped off up the back of probably down the southeast corner of Mount Buller and sort of work my way back to Jemison, where I'm going to leave my car at a mate's private property. Just after I've lost that animal down there, I've just got something I need to to put it to rest. I need to get an animal out of there, and I'm hoping to get one because I'll work my way back to where I lost that Sambar. Hopefully find something along the way. But yeah, I've got a sort of an affliction with Victoria. It's a beautiful part of the world, especially the high country. I love it up there.
Yeah. No, it is an itch that you just don't seem to be able to scratch properly once you've been there.
100%. Yeah.
I hear you there. So, want to cover off on your prep for the trip and the gear and the learnings along the way. So, I know you said you've got all your stuff sort of laid out in front of you, and I've sort of got a couple of headings here, I guess, I want to sort of cover off.
Sure.
But if we can talk about the gear that you already had and in that you're taking, and the gear that you had that you upgraded, and then the gear that you realised that you needed to purchase. So for me, the core ones are the 3 Bs, the bed, boots, and backpack. So if we can talk about in bedding, if we can talk about your bedding and your shelter system, and then we'll cover off on the other 2.
Okay. Bed. I'm just going to take my Denali Capsule 500 sleeping bag. It's always been a good little compact thing. It's always in the back of the ute, back of the cruiser. It's not too thick. I think it's only rated for -4. I probably won't need it down there, but it packs down quite small. The sleeping mat I upgraded to a Cedar Summit Etherlite XT. I was looking at the Alton Downs. We had a conversation about their products earlier on. Price point was really good with that Alton goods, and they had an R rating, I think, of 4.2 from memory. I went with something because I'm a little bit more aiming towards colder hunts. So I've got to prep for New Zealand next year. So I want to try that Etherlite XT Extreme. I think it's got an R rating of 6.9, I think it is. And I think it only weighs about, I think it was 600 grams or so, 670 grams. It packs down. I thought it would be a little bit smaller when I ordered it, but when I picked it up, it's not too bad. It's about the same size as a sleeping bag. They're
pretty thick too. I remember seeing somebody do a review on them, and I think they rated them quite highly because they're quite thick and comfy. So I don't think
I've rolled it out in a bit of a. No, I don't think so. And it's got the little the pump Airstream pump sack, so you're not pushing your cold breath or your wet breath into it, and you get mold and mildew in it. I don't think they have issues with. yeah, I've rolled it out and had a bit of a lay down on it. It seems quite comfortable, and I'm a side sleeper as well, so I need something with a bit of cushion
Yeah.
to it. I can't sleep on my back.
Okay. Yep.
So I went with that. When it comes to a tent, I used to have like a little lightweight two-man tent that I took to as a spin effect. So it was quite heavy and cumbersome with poles and that. Took that to Snake Island when I did a hog deer hunt
Yep.
a couple of years ago. But just the sheer size and the extra weight in that one, I've upgraded to a QEU two-man tent. It's quite a small tent for what it is. I was looking at a swag and a fly, but with the weather being so unpredictable down in Victoria, you do get those. It's similar to Blue Mountains here, where you get just the weather changes in an instant.
Yep.
If I need to bed down for a day or two, I want to be sort of a bit more comfortable than trying to be in a swag or a bivvy under a tarp. So I went with the Kuyu Mountain Star two-person tent.
Mm-hmm.
Not the cheapest item, but they're quality gear. So I think it's going to suit what I'm doing. I think when we go to NZ, between me and another mate, whether or not we take two tents, we just take one and share it. He's looking at, I think, the Stone Glacier tents.
Yep.
Their stuff's really good as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Kuyu Mountain Star two-person. That's pretty much bed, and I've got a little bar pillow as well that I use as a sort of seating mat as well.
Yeah.
When I'm out in the bush, so that's sleeping and shelter. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. The Kuyu stuff, Kuyu, Stone Glacier, all those sort of brands.
Yeah.
Obviously they're tried and tested and designed by hunters. So yeah, you can pretty much rely on them to make sure they're going to work and be designed properly and functionally for us. So I think you've made a good
Yeah.
choice there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a nice bit of kit. I set it up out in the backyard a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, it's easy to set up. I think it's only got the two poles that cross over, and it's got a nice little vestibule as well.
Mm.
So yeah, no, I think it'll suit what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. All right. And boots. What did you go with?
Boots. All right, I can't talk about these things highly enough. Crispy Valderas GDX.
Yep.
Absolutely love these things. These are the driest pair of boots I've ever worn. I used to run Hunter's Element gear. I've run lower, but these things for comfort, for keeping your feet warm, these things are great. When I go to New Zealand next year, I'll probably look at getting the graphite, which has got a little bit more of a rand, and it's insulated as well. These ones aren't insulated, so they're good for 2-3 seasons of the year here in Australia. I've taken these to Kendall River. I've taken them to Darwin. Done a fair few trips, and as you can see, they're well weathered. I've got to give them a bit of a moisture up before I head down with some wax. But these things, I can't talk more highly of the Crispy boots. They're just unbelievable.
Yeah. Right.
Great bit of boot.
Do you get them locally, or did you have to?
We
ship
did,
them in?
yeah. Safari Firearms over at Bexley. They've got a really good range of not just Crispy. They've got Lauer. They've got what's the other Zamberlands over there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But these just with the Lauers, I just find them a little bit too stiff and rigid for my foot. So the Crispies, they're just a beautiful shoe to wear, and you can just wear them all day. I wear them if I'm just going for a walk. They're that comfortable, a great boot. And my feet are always in work boots. Being on 12-hour days, your feet are in boots all the time. So, and I think you really need to look after your feet. They're one of the most important things, especially on a backpack hunt. Because if you can't walk, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, mate. I struggled for years with problems with my feet, and I went through. I spent thousands of dollars on different brands and so forth of boots, and I've eventually settled on the lowers. But I sort of had mine sort of semi-customized for me through a mob in America that does it, Lathrop and Sons. But I have heard a few people talk about the Crispies and really rate them. So it's good to see that they're locally available for you too.
Yeah, no, and Gary and the boys, they go above and beyond over at Safari, and yeah, they've got a good range. They're getting in the new insulated ones, sort of. I think they'll be in next month. So I'm keen to see what the graphites are like,
Mm.
and see how they go. And like being above the snow line over in New Zealand, you need something a bit more insulated. So otherwise, I probably would have taken those crispies. But yeah, looking to upgrade once I get ready for New Zealand next year.
Yeah, yep. So just on the boots as well, and although this is part of the clothing system, I'll include it in the boots. But what are you doing for socks as well, or a sock system?
I'm running the Stony Creek Hunters socks. They're quite a good sock. I use them, or I'll take a couple of pairs of the Mountain Designs. I think they're a bamboo sock.
Okay. Yep.
Like I said before, you got to look after your feet. So I've got lots of pairs of socks for work. I've always got 2 or 3 pairs of socks at work as well. So like,
Mm.
I hate having wet or sweaty feet. Upgrade my boots every 3 to 6 months works pretty good with covering the cost of those for us. So
Yep.
yeah, couple of pairs of socks, and I'll take my Crocs as well for if I've got to do a river crossing.
Yep.
With the gators and the crispies, if I've done water crossings, I walk through creeks up in Darwin for a couple of hours, and your feet stay dry, and they're just with the gators locking down over the top. Like if you were to go a bit over the top of your gators, I'm sure water would start tracking down in there, but I've never had an issue with water getting into my feet with those
Mm.
things.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you're hunting wet, cold grass. There's nothing worse. Nothing worse. Especially
Yeah.
start your hunt off and
Yeah. Yeah.
have to walk around in wet boots for the rest of the day. Nothing worse.
Yeah. It's surprising how hard it is to keep your boots dry with just wet, really wet grass.
It is, isn't
After a
it?
few hours of trudging through it, must be that constant rubbing and so forth,
Yeah,
actually pushing the water in. Yeah, I had a few pairs of boots, not the lowest, but a couple of different brands,
yeah,
and they all got wet just from walking through the grass. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I used to wear the Hunter's Elements gear. Like they were comfortable boots, had good service. If you had issues with the boot, but you just could not keep them dry. Like they
mm,
were just a couple of hours in the wet grass, and you're over it. Especially if it's cold and your feet start getting cold, and yeah, it's not comfortable. You got to be comfortable if you're out all day.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Yep. And like you said, you got to look after your feet because if they're buggered, then it just makes
Yeah,
everything else difficult from there on in.
yeah.
Yeah. So you've got a couple of spare pairs, 1 or 2 spare pairs of socks to go with you as well.
Yeah, I've got 2 pairs of Stony Creek, and I'll take probably another pair of the Mountain Designs ones. So if you do get wet feet, at least you can dry them out and wear another pair of socks around camp, and then you got a spare pair for the next day as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think 3's enough. I don't really want to take too much more than that. Trying to keep down. It's good that hunting this time of year, so you don't have to take too much of the thicker sort of clothing, a lot of the insulated stuff. So yeah.
All right. And backpack. What did you go with?
Okay. I'm running the QU Icon Pro 7200.
Yep.
It's the older design, but I found one brand new, never been used, and it was at the right price point. So I was looking at the new QU ones. I was looking at Stone Glacier. I even looked at the Maruka 75 litre Stalker pack.
Mm-hmm.
My Bino harness is Maruka 30. I like their gear.
Yep.
But I think just for sheer size, you want to take that little bit extra. And if you've got to pack something out, the QU's got a better meat shelf system, I reckon,
Okay.
as opposed to the Maruka one. The Stone Glacier would have been nice, but I'd never set eyes on it, never touched it. I was actually going to look at going down and grabbing one from Mansfield on the way through, from Mansfield Hunting and Fishing, because they stock all the Stone Glacier gear, but
Yep.
I found that this one popped up on Marketplace, never been used, still in the plastic, and the price point was good. And yeah, as I said, it's never been used, and it's got a lot of pockets. It's got a lot of dividers in it, which I think is good. I think the Maruka's got as many dividers where you can sort of stash stuff away. And then I run a couple of these little Tatonka double zip packs as well, so for all your little bits and pieces, they're not just rolling around everywhere. So I've got one for sort of tent repair kit, some extra straps. I've got my little thermocell if we get some mosquitoes and stuff, fire starters. I've got a silver blanket, some ripcord as well from Dyneema. Other side, I think, yeah, I've got a little 360-degree cooker, some sugar and some coffee, essential coffee. I'm running the dog and gun coffee, little satchel things. They're great for being out in the bush with your
Yeah.
jet boil.
Yep.
Nothing better than a nice hot coffee in the morning. And it's actually, it gives you the jitters. It's that good. I like the dog and gun stuff. But yeah, ever since they released it, I've been regularly getting it delivered. It's a bit more expensive, but I don't buy coffees at work much. I take a coffee to work with me in the morning.
Yep.
Most of the clients, I've always got subbies or tradies or clients or someone buying us coffee. So I try to cut down because I used to drink a lot of coffee, probably 6, 7 cups a day of like barista coffee, and you just get home and you're wired.
Yeah.
Can't sleep, can't switch off. And as I say, I've got a really high, I wouldn't say ADHD, but my brain's always working. I'm always thinking about stuff, always ticking over. So to have that much coffee in your body, in your system, it's not a good recipe for getting any decent sleep. So I've sort of cut back and limit myself to probably 2 cups a day or 2 coffees. And when I'm out in bush, I have one in the morning with my breakfast. And my breakfast, I run a sort of a little pre-mixed pack of milk powder, some instant oats, and a bit of dried fruit. Put that in there, chuck it in a little bowl with a bit of hot water. When you're getting your boots on and that, let it all set, and then it's a good little slow release energy. It was shown to me by a bloke who does a fair bit of backpack hunting, and I thought that was a great idea. I love me porridge in the morning, so a bit of dried fruit as well to make it a bit of flavour.
Yep.
So yeah, coffees. I love the coffee when you're out in the bush. If you stopped for a glass, you got your little jet boil up a bit of water, and those little coffee bags are nice and easy. You don't have to take little containers or anything with you with that crap either. So yeah, I like the doggone stuff.
Yeah.
Sambar, it's got to be the Sambar coffee as well.
Yeah, I've got a subscription too, so I get the Red Stag and the Sambar in the beans. Yeah. Just depends on whether I'm having a black coffee or one with milk, which one I'll use. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. It is a little bit more expensive. You could certainly get cheaper coffee beans elsewhere, but we're supporting a business that's supporting the hunting industry as well. So I don't mind spending a little bit more for that reason.
100%. Yeah. No, they're doing good things. Starting to get a pretty good name out there. They've got a good marketing group, I think. So they're out hunting as well, which is good. It's good to see them out there and doing the thing. And I think they were up with Harry a couple of months ago up at True Wild Outfitters, and they did some good shoots up there. So yeah.
Did you get down? I'm sidetracking here, but did you get down to the Deer Expo in May this year?
No, I missed it. May, I think. When was I in May? I think we're away for a family thing. I've missed the last couple of ones, and I know it's not on next year, so I really want to sort of set aside that weekend and head down there for the that Deer Expo. I'm kicking myself for not getting down there this year because there was a big turnout supposedly.
Yeah. No, it was really good. It was a good show, considering it was the first one since all the lockdowns and everything. Yeah, it was well. But anyway, the point I was going to make was the dog and gun crew were there. They drove all the way down from Queensland, from up near Brisbane here, and made it down to the show. So I did get to sort of say hello to them very, very quickly. They were always busy. But one of the things that I got from them at the show was the hog chocky, the hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Have you tried that at all?
Yeah. It's dangerous.
yeah. I take that away with me, and I mix a bit of coconut milk powder in with it.
Yeah.
Add some more calories, and it just adds a different sort of creaminess to it. So
nice.
That's my pro
tip.
Good
things. Yeah, they're good products. I like it. It's good.
Yeah. All right. Now, communication and navigation. What sort of things have you got in that category?
I run the Garmin GPS 66i. So it's got InReach. It's got your PLB on it as well. It's got downloadable maps. I think it's a great little bit of kit. I know most people use their phones for maps, which I do. I have both of them in my hand at all times. I run Gaia maps, or I run another map as well. But yeah, the Garmin 66i keeps the missus happy when she can't get hold of me. Even out on the boat, take it out on the water as well.
Yep.
It's always in the car if I'm going bush. It's easy. Like it costs you a bit of money for the subscription, but you don't really need it until you need it, and when you need it, it's going to save your life.
Yeah, it's cheap insurance, isn't it?
It is for $40 a month. Look, they do cost a bit of outlay, but they last forever. I've still got my old Garmin. I think it was a 62. That used to always be on the boat. That's I think all the SIM card things are all rusted out because they had that much exposure to salt, and it still goes. The Garmin stuff's good. It's good quality gear.
Yep.
Yep. Other communication device, I use a GME 5-watt TX6160. That's just in case something happens. If all your gear gets wet and all shuts down, you can always use a two-way to try and find someone who might be close. I run GME stuff in my boat, in my cruiser, and I run it in my pack as well. So they're the two main communication items, and then also your phone as well. So the good thing about the Garmin system is you text off your phone. You don't need to actually text off your GPS.
Yeah.
You just use the app, and it's good because it's got the maps on it and everything as well. So you can actually send breadcrumbs to your missus, so she can keep an eye on you and knows where you are. Not at the pub at Mansfield. You're actually up in the bush. So. Yeah, that's good. It's a good bit of kit. I've been running it for the last probably 18 months, I think it is. And yeah, it's been great.
Yep.
Awesome little bit of kit.
You can. That's the one you can text off as well. If your phone runs out of battery or shits itself or something or other, you can text off the device too. So it's a bit of a fail safe in that regard as well, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
You guys are running you guys are running that new system, aren't you?
I've got the Mini.
The Mini.
Yeah, the Garmin Mini InReach Mini. I looked at the Zoleo, and I read some reports that it's a really good system. Works. In fact, there's a couple of quite a few of the reports I read about the Garmin system. There was some issues with the text messages not going through or going through out of order. So, conversations not making sense for people and that sort of thing. And the Zoleo, that didn't seem to have that sort of problem. But the thing that stopped me getting the Zoleo was that you can't text off the device. You're completely reliant on your phone. So if you fall in the creek and your phone's drowned and doesn't work, you're kind of without it. So at least the InReach Mini is not something you would want to text off all the time. But in an emergency, it's a good fail safe. Yeah,
it is. It keeps people mind at ease when they can't get hold of your phone, especially out in the water. Like I fish on my boat. I fish way offshore a lot of the time, so we're 50, 60 k's offshore. Got no phone communication, but you can always just send her a message saying you're staying out a bit longer, so she's not worried. And you can also text Coast Guard as well. What are they called? But yeah, you can always send them a message now. They got their mobile number that you can actually send them.
Okay.
Keep in touch with them as well. So it's good to keep them happy as well if they can't get you on the radio.
Yeah. Well, look, it'll probably come into its own in New Zealand as well too, because if you're getting a chopper in or getting a lift out, you'll be able to communicate with the chopper pilot then too.
Exactly, and we're looking at doing sort of 5 days in one spot, and if we shoot a tar or we can't find any tar, we'll move to another spot, and if we do shoot tar in the first spot, we're going to try and chase some chemi as well in a different spot. But it'll come in handy when you need to get picked up or shifted over to another spot or go home.
Yeah, and the weather updates too will be particularly important.
That's the other good thing about it as well.
Yeah, good. And what are you doing for power to charge them and so forth?
I've got a couple of little battery banks. I've got got one that's got a little solar pack on it as well. So it just sort of touches it. Tops it up each day. I hang it off the back of my pack, so it's always trying to get a bit of sun on it. And then I've got a smaller one because I think it's a 40,000 amp power one, and then I've got a smaller one, it's a little 20,000 that I'll sort of keep dedicated just for my phone and my GPS. I'll just use that for those ones because I know I can get probably 3 phone charges and probably 2 charges out of the Garmin, full charges. I turn all my screens down and everything. It's one that people don't realise. Download all your maps, turn on flight mode, bring all your screen brightness down,
Yep.
and your phone battery will last a lot longer.
Yeah.
If you have it on full power, like I've got mine on full brightness, and I've got one of the new Samsung 23 Ultras, so it's a big phone, big cameras on it, and it does chew the battery quickly. I just reduce everything so you're not chewing up that battery,
Yep.
and then you're not sucking all the power out of your little battery packs. I'm taking an extra battery for my new camera as well for both my. The only one I don't have an extra battery for is the drone, but I don't really want to use that too much anyway. So I'll just get a bit of sort of coverage and that for bit of content. Couple of flyovers. I think I've got about 15 minutes of recording,
Yep.
or 15 minutes of bat flight time with the drone. But yeah, just minimise weight. I could probably take another pack, but I don't think I'll need it for 4 days. I think that'll be enough for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Um, my head torch doesn't. You can get probably. I reckon I went away camping. I bought one of the new BioLights. Watching J.E. Wilds, he uses the BioLight stuff, and I went and bought that. And it's tiny. It weighs nothing. I didn't get the top of the range one. That's got. I think it's got like mine's got 60 hours burn time on the low setting. And you don't need to charge it. Like I had it away for 5 days camping, and I used it every night, and I still didn't need to charge it, so it works quite well.
Yep.
Doesn't chew up too much battery.
All right. Are you just taking the one headlamp, or have you got a spare?
No, I'll just take the one because I'll try and get to bed pretty quick most nights because it's daylight saving. So by the time the sun goes down, it's nearly 8. It's 8 o'clock sort of thing with daylight savings. You should be only running a headlamp for an hour or two, and I just put it on dim. I've got there's lights on my GPS, there's lights on my phone. I've got lights on one of the battery pack as well. So I don't think I need to run 2 light headlamps. I think I'll be right with the one.
Yeah. Okay. I've had the only reason I'm asking, I've had on more than one occasion a headlamp shit itself on me, and then either been stuck without or trying to use your phone battery or whatever. So I've sort of always take 2 away with me usually.
Yeah. Well, I had issues with the lead lenser just turning itself on in your pack.
Yeah.
At one of the older models with the big battery pack on the back. And I don't know how many times I pulled it out of my pack to start walking out after sitting till nightfall, and then it starts flashing 3 minutes into your walk, or it's on when you open up your pack. Like, damn it! I don't know how long it's been on for. Could have been on for an hour. Could have been on for 6 hours, or who knows? But yeah, I've had the issues with that. And I used to always just got into a habit of just unplugging it from the pack or taking one of the batteries out.
Yeah. Mate of mine had. I don't know if it was that brand, but he had another brand, and it actually ended up melting a hole in the pocket of his pack that it was in because it was on the whole time. Yeah. Thankfully, manufacturers seem to have learnt the lesson from that and created a locking switch on all the headlamps now. I haven't seen many headlamps out nowadays that don't have a locking ability on them.
Yep.
Yeah. Cooking gear, drinking, like water filtration if you're using that, and a bit more on your food.
Okay, so cooking, I mentioned before, a little jet boil system. I love this thing. It's always in the car if I want to pull over and have a coffee on the side of the road. I've got a fridge and a little jet boil in the car all the time. I'll just run that with a 360 little top that goes on top if I want to cook. And I've just got a little Cedar Summit fry pan, or Mac pack actually. Little lightweight fry pan, and because the meals that I'm using the on-track.
Yep.
Good system. Just steers away from having to actually use water or carry extra water for your meals. And they're not much extra weight. And they're good looking meals. As you know, with the dehydrated ones, sometimes if you don't mix it up enough, you get all your powder down the bottom, or they tend to be a little bit powdery, the dehydrated ones. And if you want to eat quick, the on-track ones, you can eat them cold, you can eat them hot. And I'll just heat that up in the fry pan. I know you can sort of put them in some boiling water or anything like that, but I'll just tip it out and I'll just heat it up in the fry pan, and then just eat it straight out of that. That'll be my bowl. I've got another small bowl that I use, a little Cedar Summit, the little flat pack one. So I'll just take that as well for my cereal in the morning or my porridge. So mentioned before, the porridge, Rolled oats, the quick rolled oats, the instant ones, some milk powder, and some dry fruit.
Yep.
Just have a couple of satchels made up of those little pre-packed ones. Tip it out into your jet boil it up, and just let it sit while you're putting your boots on. And it's good energy for the day. Set yourself up. I always try to make sure I have some breakfast before I start hunting. Get up that extra 15 minutes earlier. Have a coffee. Mentioned before the Sambar dog and gun stuff. Lunch on the foot. I've got some jerky on at the moment, some Sambar jerky. Dehydrating at the moment. I've got to get quick because I think I did about 6 kilos 2 weeks ago, and my eldest ate most of it. So I do some hotter stuff, so he stays away from that, and I do some mild stuff, and he loves it. He takes it to school, and he's king of the kids. And all the kids love it. It's good energy source, and it fills you up as well because once it expands in your stomach. And I take that. I take some like a bit of a trail mix with some nuts. And I run some lollies or some little energy bars and that you can buy from Woolies. I don't buy the sort of the ones geared directly at
Like that.
hunters or outdoor sports, just the regular ones from
Cliff bars, that sort of
what's
thing.
that? Yeah, no, they're quite exy, those things, very expensive. I can't really see too much more value you're getting out of them. Run those with and Peak Performance electrolytes from New Zealand.
Yep.
They should be here. They had a bit of issues with it getting through post. I ordered it a couple of weeks ago, and they got a local supplier to send some over to me and make sure it got to me in time. Looking forward to using that stuff. It's got pretty good reviews. So yeah, that just keeps the energy up. And just replaces all that because it is going to be quite warm. Some days I think it's going to get 29, 30 degrees in the hills. So it's going to be a bit of an issue with losing a bit of sweat.
Yep.
With water filtration, I've gone with the Sawyer little inline filter. So you can and it's got a couple of bags, so I can get a bit of creek water, a bit of mountain water. Filter that. I'm trying to only take 2 litres. So I've got another 4-litre bladder. I've got a 3-litre bladder in my pack that I run, and then I've got these little soy systems are quite good. I've got a life straw, but it's only in a litre bottle, so it's a little bit limited to how much extra water you can take.
Yep.
But these ones, they've got a couple of satchels. You can fill them both up, put the lid on it, and then filter it back into your thingo, or you can filter it into. I've got just a little normal water bottle that I carry as well on my hip. I haven't used this system yet, but it's got pretty good reviews for what it is. I've ran Life Straw before, but this is a new little bit of kit that I picked up last week. So pretty easy little system with a backwasher in it as well. So yeah, that's water. I know I've got to cross over the Hauka River, so they've had a fair bit of rain down there, so it should be able to find somewhere decent to cross over. We're not going to get too wet, but yeah, no, I should be able to find some water up in the hills as well. So they've had plenty of water, plenty of rain up there the last month, couple of months.
Yep.
I was down there in June. Took the boys up to the high country before the gate shut, find some snow, went up to Craig's Hut and that, and it was wet as up there. And there was that many people. It was a long weekend, and it was a car park up at Craig's Hut. Like it was literally 45 minutes wait out on the track to get into the car park. It was insane. So many people go up there on those long weekends.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's water, food, and cooking gear, and I've just got a little 3-piece Cedar Summit knife, fork, and spoon setup. So
yeah,
pretty basic, but yeah, just keep the energies up and keep the hydration up. It's pretty important, especially with this heat. I'll be walking around in.
Yeah. Just on those bars too, you mentioned On Track Meals. Did you know that? Did you see that they make their own bars too?
They do, yeah.
But they're pretty good actually. I've tried both of them. Yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah. No, I've been following them on Facebook for a while and on Insta, and thought I might give their meals a go, and yeah. But I love like just your little nut bars. I always Mrs. buys the nice cheap ones from Audi. I think they are all, and they got salted caramel ones and chocolate ones, and they're just good, like a little bit of an energy hit while you're sitting down and having a bit of a glass in the middle of the day.
Yeah. All right. Now, you mentioned a bit of your hunting gear before, a couple of other bits. Is there anything else
Yep.
additional to that? And what are you sort of doing about a kill kit or your knife kit and so forth?
Okay, with my kill kit, I run I think it's an outdoor edge with the replaceable. It's
Yep.
like a Havalon but bigger.
Yep.
It's a great bit of kit. I love it. It's got the the reverse blade so you can open up the animal without getting hair anywhere.
Hmm.
I don't know how people I see some people butcher and they just got hair everywhere. I'm like, drives me insane. You just the gut hook, rip it up, and the little those blades. I've taken a little diamond sharpener out with me as well, so you just give it a touch up, and I can get probably two or three animals out of one blade, just
Mm.
keeping it touched up. And it's handy if you do actually blunt it too much and you can't get an edge back on it. You just got the little replaceable blades, which is quite handy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And a couple of weeks ago, I've got a nice little fillet knife that I've been given by Craig at Hook and Bone. He's running the Border Town blades.
Okay.
It's a little G10 fillet knife. I'll run that as well, sort of just probably use it around camp as well. But it's not really a meat hunt, so I won't be sort of depending on where I shoot the animal or how far I'm into my hunt will determine if I'm going to be carrying out too much meat or if it's going to be a trophy hunt. So
Yep.
I'll sort of cross that bridge and I run the Hunter's Element meat bags. And to carry it out, as I said before, the QU packs got the great meat shelf. You can strip the pack right off the frame, and you got quite a good base in behind there to pack either a head or plenty of meat. So I think I tested it with all my gear in the pack, which my pack is around without the bino pack and the rifle on it, it's about 17 kilos.
Okay.
So I've got 17 kilos for my pack. I've got bino case, bino harness, and binos and all the gear in there. It's running at about 2.2 kilos. Rifle's 4 kilos, and my camera that I wear on my hip is just under a kilo. It's quite a heavy camera, but I'm not running spotting scope. I'm running the Nikon Coolpix 1000,
Yep.
one of the new ones.
Okay.
It's got amazing zoom on it. So I sort of weighed up spending big dollars on a good quality spotting scope and a nice digital mirrorless camera
Hmm.
with attachments and everything. But you're looking at seven grand setup, and you can just keep going the more you want to spend on the camera. So you buy a good Swarovski spotting scope, and you're looking at I don't know 4 grand, I think they have 5 grand,
Yeah.
and then the adapters and camera, and then the extra weight. So I sort of went, well, it's got to be something else out there. I was running the old Nikon for years with I think it's a 300 mm lens. It's not too bad. It's not too good, especially if you got anything over 50 meters away. You're not really picking up too much sort of detail. I took some good photos in low light before I shot my last Sambar. I caught him out in the bush in an opening right on first light, but it was real grainy. And where the Nikon's got this, I think it's 125 times zoom
Hmm.
plus the digital zoom, it gives you the equivalent to I think it's a 3,000 millimeter lens.
Yep.
And it's got 4K video. I'll run that on a Manfrotto tripod. I'm looking at those ones that I spoke to earlier on in the week
The Tricer.
from, I think it's the Outdoor. Yeah, the Tricer. It's a nice bit of kit. So I think I've already splashed out a fair bit of cash on some gear for this trip. Annoying the crap out of my wife. She's always checking the bank account.
Mm.
But I think I'll get one of those before I go to New Zealand. I really like the reverse leg system on it
Yep.
for a nice stable platform. But I've got the Smart Rest um, gun clamp for the tripod as well,
Hmm.
and I run a smaller little tripod if I do get into the position where I'm going to be able to do a bit of filming before I take the shot on a long range. I want to sort of find some long range shots while I'm down on this trip, just to most of my deer I've shot have been 200, sub 200 meters.
Yep.
I haven't really pushed out too much further than that.
Hmm.
I'm feeling pretty confident with the new Beretta BRX1. It's a really nice rifle. I've got it in 308, which I usually use a 300 WSM chasing Sambar or 338. But I'm running the Barnes 168 grain Vortex. They're a great ballistics. I recovered the projectile from my last Sambar, and I think it was 168 grain. It gave me a return of 167.2.
Yep.
So I got nothing come off the actual dinger, and it mushroomed really well.
Mm.
And it just dropped. He only ran 40 meters. I like to try and use a nice heavy projectile for Sam because, as you know, they're a beast. You can put some heavy lead into them, and they'll walk it off.
Yep.
But that performed really well. So, but I'll be running next year for New Zealand. I'll be running 300 Win Mag with the barrel conversion kit that'll come out in April next year. So, got a Swarovski scope on it, Z5, 2.5 to 12 by 50.
Yep.
That's a great bit of glass.
Yeah.
I run Bushnell on most of my other rifles, the tactical elite systems, but went a little bit overboard with this setup and went the Swarovski, and it's a nice bit of glass, illuminator reticle. It's got a ballistic turret.
Yep.
So went out the range on Friday night. It's grouping sub MOA at 50 meters. I've got it zeroed at 100. I've got pins for 200, 250, 300, and then an extra measurement for 400 meters. So hoping to stretch the legs on it. Not as fast as the 300 to the 338, but I think with those projectiles, it should drop a decent sambar, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you can hit them right, the right place, you've got the right projectile anyway, or certainly a good projectile for it. So it's really going to come down to that's probably not the caliber that people would choose or recommend for walking them up. But for long range shots, I think if you've got confidence in the rifle and it's accurate and you're using the right pills, then it's going to be more than capable.
Yeah, well, I was very impressed because it was the first field shot out of the rifle was on that 27-incher I shot a couple of weeks ago, and it went sort of in behind the front leg and then locked on the skin on the external side, just on the forward side of the shoulder. Took out heart and lung, and just the projectile was just nice, perfectly sat under the skin on the other side.
Yep.
And as I said, he only ran 40 meters. I actually put another one into him, but I don't think I needed to put that second one into him. That was at 110 meters. I think it was a pretty cool interaction I had with him a couple of weeks before. I sort of seen a bit of movement up in the clearing up further, right on first light, and I use these binos, 8x42s, and you can see. People don't realise you need to pay good money for good glass because it's the first. You get an extra 10 minutes in the morning, extra 15 minutes in the afternoon. That cheap glass just can't give you the performance. You just can't see. I've been hunting with mates that use cheaper sort of glass. I used Nikon for years, and they were a great bit of glass. But for that extra couple of minutes when it's the golden hour, that's when your money pays for what it does. It's just there's this. I picked it up. Movement before even first light, got up a bit closer, seen another younger stag sort of push through the opening and heard a bit of rustling in the same spot where I'd seen the Sambar stag a couple of weeks before, and then all of a sudden 5 hinds just busted cover and just bolted across the opening, and I seen the pearly tips of his antlers pop up, and then he started coming out of the opening as well. And as you know, they got that sixth sense. He just stopped. He knew something was wrong. He couldn't see me. I was pretty well hidden in the tree line, but he just stopped, looked in my direction, and that was his fatal move. And just put the illuminator reticle on him because I think it was about 20 past 6. It was right on sunrise, right on sun up, and he ran 40 meters and bailed up. So. Very happy with the performance of that rifle and that setup. So I'm looking forward to stretching the legs on it. It's quite a short barrel. I think it's a 22 inch or 24 inch. So I wouldn't be too worried about using it in the thicker stuff. But you do need that extra bit of heaviness when you are walking them up in the thick stuff. That's why I love my 300 WSM. 338's a good cow as well, but I think the 300 just sort of sits in that middle ground between the 308 and 338. And that my old 300 WSM's an old Ticker T3 light in stainless with synthetic stock. It's light. It gets bashed around. I don't think I took it to the range, and it went to Litchfield, then it went to Kendall River, it went to back to Darwin, back to Harry's. It's done a couple of trips down south, and it's still just dead on. It's just a great bit of kit. I don't look after it. It's just me, but it's my go-to rifle. It's usually the first one I pull out of the safe because it's comfortable in my hands.
Yep.
I just know what it's going to do. It's pretty hard and flat. I run 180 winnies out of that. But yeah, it's great old rifle. Very reliable.
Yeah. Yeah. Confidence goes a long way. Confidence in your setup goes a long way to your shooting ability. It doesn't, doesn't have to come down to the rifle, the having the best, most expensive of everything. It really comes down a lot to the confidence of the shooter. So
yeah. Well, I was going to take it to New Zealand with me. I was going to get Jeff Borg to do a bit of work on it, flute the bolt and Cerakote the whole rifle and just give it a bit of a spruce up. But because when I bought the Beretta, they only had the 308 available. So the 300 Win Mag barrels will be available next year. So they've got a couple other calibers I wouldn't mind getting as well. But I bought that just for versatility. You can take it out to a state forest. You can change the barrels over. It only takes a couple of seconds to change the barrels over. And you can preset your ballistic turret to two different calibers if you know what your zero is on both cals. And it'd be good to take to state forest if you want to put 223 barrel on, shoot some bunnies, and then take it out for a deer stalk in the afternoon without having to worry about having another rifle locked in the vehicle, which technically you're not really supposed to do. But yeah, it's just another safety sort of feature, and it's good that it's interchangeable handle as well for the bolt and the ejector. Because I think my son, he's sort of more prone to shooting right-handed. I'm lefty. I'm a lefty.
Yep.
So yeah, I think they're a great bit of kit and the new Berettas.
Yeah, you're actually the second bloke I've spoken to who's carrying one now. So
yeah,
yeah,
straight pull. I've never owned a straight pull rifle before, but once you get used to it, it's fast. It's good. It's nice and quick. And they're just a well built rifle. Got the 5-shot mag in them that sits flush. So yeah, nice little bit of kit. And 4 kilos all up with the scope on it. So not too bad for weight.
Yeah. Now, clothing and personal care. What's your system there?
Baby wipes, number one.
Yep.
It's the old bush shower.
Yep. Big fan of the butt wipes.
You never really knew about baby wipes till you had kids, and then they're everywhere. You got them in the car, you got them in your camping kit, you got them in. They're a great item. I love the old baby wipes, especially out in the bush. There's nothing worse than sitting around or going to bed all that clammy feeling that you get, especially if you've done a walkout with something on your back.
Yeah.
Get back to camp and you just want to sort of freshen up a bit, just give the face a bit of a wipe down, get the underarms and just get that clamminess off you. Nothing better.
Yeah, even just the swamp crotch, in the warmer weather that you're going to be down there in, just to be able to freshen yourself up a bit, it just goes a long way.
Yeah. I take a little one of the little Cedar Summit towels as well. Little folds up to nothing. Nice little compact little Cedar Summit towel, which just comes in handy if you do actually get wet or it rains and you just want to keep your hands dry or anything like that. With clothing, because it's going to be warm, I'll be running probably skins and shorts during the day. I've got some spiker shorts, some Hunter's Element shorts, just a couple of pairs of skins or I just run the Skins brand underneath my shorts, just to stop the prickles and the mosquitoes and that getting to you too much. Either that or I do run the Hunter's Element. I think I can't remember what. They're probably one of the top of the range short pants they have, lightweight sort of gear. Because it's not going to be too cold, I'm not going to worry about taking thermals. I'll have a thermal. I've got my QU thermal tops, which I sort of just wear as a shirt anyway.
Yep.
Long sleeve just keeps you a bit more covered, protects you from the elements. And in regards to wet weather gear, I'm looking at probably upgrading all my gear before I go to New Zealand, but I've been running the Hunter's Element gear for years, and I've never had an issue with it. It does its job. I think it's quite well built for the price point. So I've got wet weather jacket and wet weather pants with the bib just to throw over if it does sort of rain. run a hunter's element, sort of won't take anything too big in regards to jackets and that, just a nice little top to wear around camp. And sort of in the mornings when it's a bit cool, I think it's only going to be getting down about 11, 12 degrees, so it's not going to be too cold. Socks, 3 pairs of socks, we covered that. So yeah, that's my hat. I'll just take probably one of my hook and bone hats, the camo hats, and a beanie, just in case it does get a bit cool. But that's pretty much it for clothes. I don't have to really take too much because it's a bit warmer, so sort of get away with not too much there on that side of things.
Yep. The Kuyu thermal tops, are they merino or synthetic ones?
They're the merino ones. So I've got two of them. I've got one with the collar and the zip, and I've just got a normal long sleeved merino Kuiu top, and they're a great bit of stuff. I wear them pretty much just as a undershirt, like as my thermal top, and then once it gets warm, you can just wear it as a top because it's got camo on it. It's quite they're good
Yeah.
quality stuff. I've had it for a couple of years, and it keeps lasting, and it doesn't sort of, if you catch it on a bush or anything, it doesn't sort of thread doesn't come out or anything. It's good stuff. I'm on the IQU stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. For years, you mentioned rain pants too. For years, I resisted getting rain pants, and I thought they were just a waste of time and space and money. But then I went away with a mate of mine, and he had a set with him as well, and we had to sit out a rainstorm, and it just sort of
Yeah,
kept, the rain would come through, and then it'd dry up, and then it'd come through again, and so forth. And he ran his rain pants the whole time, and just opened them up, let them
yeah,
air out, and so forth. And mate, by the end of the day, I was freezing because my pants ended up soaking all the way through, and the breeze and so forth. And I thought, oh, this is a joke. And he was very comfortable. So after that, I ended up getting myself a set, and I've been running them ever since. So
yeah. No, they're good just to have in the bottom of the pack.
yeah, yeah. Even if it's just if you got a cold wind, or quick snowstorm coming through or something like that, it's just good to throw them
Yeah,
on, and just to give you a little bit extra shelter so you can stay out in the bush a little bit longer and keep sitting on the side of the hill and not be too uncomfortable.
exactly.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. Comfort's a big thing, especially if you've got to sit down in glass for extended periods of time. You've got to be comfortable.
yeah,
And dry and warm, and yeah, especially if you've got a bit of wind or bit of light rain, you've got to try and stay dry and warm.
yep,
It helps you sit there for a lot longer and not be fidgety and actually stay focused on what you're doing.
yeah, yeah. And in terms of sitting too, I see a lot of people are running these the lightweight chairs that seem to be
Yeah,
becoming popular. Have you got one of those, or are you just taking a mat to sit on?
I do have a lightweight chair. I'm still undecided whether or not to throw it in the pack. It doesn't weigh all that much. I probably will end up throwing it because it is quite handy, especially around camp as well, or if
Mm,
you are actually going to be sitting there for quite some time. It's a bit more comfortable than sitting. I usually sometimes just use my little inflatable pillow that I use for sleeping, but the chair's good because you can sort of lean back a bit and just get a bit more comfortable if you're sitting behind a camera or the tripod with the binos
mm,
for extended periods of time.
mm, mm.
Yeah, so yeah, I probably will end up throwing it in the pack, just because I do like to be a bit comfortable. It's not too hardcore of a hunt, so I'm not going right up in the high country, so it's not going to be too steep. Some of the country there is a few nice little catchments that are going to be a bit tough, sort of getting in and out. But I think the chair will probably come in handy for sitting down and glassing for most of the day.
Yeah, yeah. I've been resisting getting one for a while, but I hear more and more people talking about them and rating them. And I think as my knees and hips get older too, I think they would probably appreciate having a chair rather than having to sit on the ground.
Yeah. And as you know, if you're sitting on a rock or on the ground, your bum starts getting numb, and
Mm,
you're always fidgeting and moving around, which Sambar are going to pick up that movement.
mm, mm.
And you want to be sitting pretty still at all times when you're sort of waiting for Sambar to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, my brother bought it for me for a couple of years ago, and I just have it in the back of the cruiser all the time. So it's just handy if you go on a sporting event or you got to take the kids to training or something like that. You can just pull it out and flips out, and everyone just gets a bit jealous because they're all standing there or sitting on the ground. And you got your nice little comfortable chair, you're quite low to the ground, so
yeah.
yeah, it's quite comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you said that you're sort of tossing up whether this is going to be a meat recovery trip, and obviously the hot weather is going to sort of work against you there.
Yeah.
So what's the goals for the trip for you?
Um, First and foremost, just to test the gear and test myself. This is my first extended backpack trip, especially solo, going in solo as well.
Hmm.
I don't have an issue with my being on my own. I like hunting. I prefer to hunt by myself,
Yep.
especially Sambar. Sambar are they just pick up everything. So two people in the bushes cuts your chances in half.
Mm.
Um, they're my two first and foremost. Third goal is to just get a nice Victorian head. I've sort of locked up the New South Wales Sambar,
Hmm.
but I want a nice Victorian head. They've got a little bit different shape to them. The genetics in my area, they are sort of a traditional one, but they do sweep back a bit, which I think might be a trait back to a little bit of Roosa.
Mm.
Getting into the bloodlines, I shot a little Rhubarb earlier on this year from that block.
Yep.
Um, but the Victorian heads, especially if you get those nice big heavy ones, like my big 30 inch, he's quite thick, he's very heavy. He went 205. For a 30 inch, that's quite a good score. But the Victorian heads, they're going to get those big stags. They just get those massive big coronets, and they're just thick. They're just thick all the way through the antlers, and the big brow tines as well. That's something that tickles my fancy.
Yep.
The big brow tines, they look cool.
Yeah.
And I hate the system how it penalises you for overspread, because
Yeah.
there's nothing better than a nice big sand with a big spread. They just look very impressive. I
Yeah.
love sand.
Yeah. And that overspread adds a
Good head. My
deceptiveness.
wife hates it. She goes, "It's the ugliest deer you got on the wall." She likes the fallow and because they're nice and pretty and that, but
Can you hear me?
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
now
All right. Yeah. Sorry. Where did we get up to?
length there for a sec. We have the seats.
Oh, the goal for your trip.
Oh,
So
the goal.
so
Yeah,
you want to get a Victorian head.
I do. Yeah, nice
Yeah.
big impressive stag. Not really a meat run. I've got a I've sort of cut back a bit of sambar out of the freezer over the last couple of weeks because I got just got a half a pig the other day for a bit of pork. For I'm doing some bacon and I might even do a ham. I just got to try and find some room in the fridge to bloody brine it.
Mm.
But not really a meat run. If I do get to Sunday and I'm closer to my vehicle and if the situation presents where a nice little hind or a yearling pops up, I'm never going to let that pass up.
Hmm.
Can never have enough sambar in the freezer. And because I've been sort of using it for my site barbecues, introducing a lot of people to venison.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's mostly testing gear. Um, Opportunity arises to shoot a nice stag and just to test my mental sort of aptitude in the bush
Yep.
on an extended hunt.
Yeah. Yep. So how long's the trip for? It's just under.
4 days. So I go down Wednesday night. So I hunt, get dropped off sort of lunchtime Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then come out Sunday arvo.
Okay. Yep.
So I'll getting dropped about as the crow flies would be a good 15K from my endpoint.
Hmm.
So I'll look on the Thursday. I like getting in there lunchtime. No use trying to get in there first thing in the morning. I'll go and see the boys in at Mansfield and have a look at some gear for next year. And then I'll get dropped up there, get my camp set up in my first night spot, and then go for an afternoon stalk.
Yep.
And then just I've got a plan of where I sort of want to get to by certain days, and if I sort of stick to that plan, it should work out. I'm probably looking at covering around 6K a day, thereabouts, and then probably do a decent walk out on the Sunday
Hmm.
after a morning hunt. So yeah, they're the three main reasons I'm doing the trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. And when's the New Zealand trip planned for?
So it's pretty much this time next year, a little bit earlier. So I'm going to go for 10 days before the school holidays,
Yep.
and then fly my family over for the school holidays. And we're going to do 2 weeks on the South Island, hiring a motorhome and doing Fiordland and down the bottom of the South Island. And
Yeah.
yeah, because I've been I've been doing a lot of trips over the years, and I never take my family with me, which, as you know, it's a bit hard. Sort of, they're going to be either sitting around camp or just sitting in a weird little country town somewhere while you're out hunting all day. So I thought, if I'm going to New Zealand, I'm going to have to take the family with me. I suggested that to my wife Jade and the boys, and they're all for it. So it gives us plenty of time to get prepped and put a bit of money away, and probably look at buying our flights before the end of the year, so I can get them at a decent rate.
Yep.
Get it all locked in, and and then just sort of start planning the trip. Like, we've got an idea of where we're going to go, but the good thing about it is one of the guys that we're hunting with, he's a local taxidermist over there. He hunts over here, he guides over here up north during the season, and then he goes back home. So he's given us the inside knowledge. He's going to work out sort of the best spots to go, and then we'll converse with the chopper pilots, so because they know where their animals are, they know where they're dropping off the guys and who's getting animals and who's successful and who isn't. So
and where the chopper culls are happening too.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is bad. I don't know. Yeah, it's that government over there. That it's a good resource. It's good. Brings in a lot of money for the country. So and they're in an area where there's not much else. There's them and the birds. That's about it.
No, I'm hoping to get over there in May next year. I'm going to look at doing a few weeks as well. So
I've only been over I've done a spearfishing trip in 2011, I think it was, with Joe Burke to White Island. Speared some big kings over there, some snapper and that, and I love the place. It's a great part of the world. I'm looking forward to South Island though. I actually got a spot in the Wapiti Ballot last year, so to hunt this year in April this year. I was sitting down in our van down at Ulladulla over the Christmas break, and I was looking for my spam on my personal email. I'm like, hang on, what's this from FWF? I'm like, hang on, in the redraw, I've drawn a spot, me and my mate. I'm like, great, ring me, mate. We're going to New Zealand, going April. Mrs. is like, when's the actual date? I'm like, I told her, and she goes, you do realise that's our family Easter trip away? I'm like, damn it. She goes, well, she knows what I'm like. She goes, I know you're going to go anyway, so just we'll do the hunt, do the family trip, and then you can come home and go do your bloody hunting or whatever you want to do. So I'm like, sweet. So I rang the FWF guys and told them my plan. They go, yeah, you can hunt any time of your period. Come over because I think it was I missed the first 2 or 3 days with the family trip. And then, but their deal was I had to be over there for the day before your first day to get all your paperwork and your permits and do all that stuff. He goes, yeah, just make sure you're here before the trip. Go do what you need to do, then just come back when you want to go hunting. I'm like, it's not really that easy. I could do it. It's going to cost me a lot of money, but
there's two extra plane flights you didn't need to pay for.
No, so I had to pull the pin on it, which I didn't even enter it for next year because I know I've got the trip at the end of the year, and I won't have any leave to do it anyway. So I'm taking 3 weeks off, a little bit longer this time next year. So I don't have too much leave in the bank, let alone once I get to September next year.
Plus you got to build up the brownie points too.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, I've got a pretty long lead. She's good. She lets me do what I want to do. As I said before, I'm always doing something, but she allows me to do my own thing. She knows what it means to me, and it's pretty much my lifestyle. So she knew it when she first met me. She was only young, so she got to go be an 18-year-old when I first met her. I was always out hunting or fishing, mostly fishing back then, spear fishing and that when we first met. And then then we got married, and a couple of years later we had the kids and that. So I've got a pretty good wife. She's very supportive of what I do. So it does help. And I've got other mates that just like, I can't do this, can't do that. I'm like, well, if you want to do it, like they want to come hunting, they want to shoot sambar, they want to shoot fallow, but they don't realise it's not just going there and shooting. So you might have access to those properties, but they don't realise it's a lot of donut chips, a lot of preparation. You just got to get out in the bush. The more time you spend out in the bush, the more opportunities are going to arise, and that's how you get the stuff on the walls. And then you fill the freezer. And they just think it's just, I can do 2 trips this year. Like I had a couple of guys that wanted to do the fallow rut this year. And I said, well, there's a block I know where there is fallow, but we need to do probably a couple of trips down there to sort of work out pattern.
Mm.
So when we do actually go there, we know what we're doing. So we probably want to do 3 or 4 trips in the next 2 months, from sort of late into January into April. We're going to have to do a couple of trips. Because I might be able to do one. I'm like, you need to do the trip. You need to do the groundwork. You need to do the research. Get some trail cams up. The more time you can put into it, the more you're going to reap from it. Some guys have got lucky; they might have properties that just got deer all over them. Some of them not so much, especially if you're hunting public land. You guys are just so held back up there in Queensland. I'm a Queenslander, but it's just their system up there. They need to open up the public land for you guys.
Yeah. Yep.
It'll stop a lot of poaching. It'll stop a lot of crap, but and just get you guys hunting in your own state. Like New South Wales system's good. It does have its flaws. I think the Victorian system's what everyone needs to model it on. It's great. It's just you don't need to book in. You don't need to worry about too much. There's some national parks you can hunt. So they've got a good system down there.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a sore point up here that no public land, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's our government at the moment. All right, one final topic for you.
Yeah.
What sort of training have you done to prepare for this?
I've never been to the gym. As I said, I'm always active. I'm always doing stuff. I haven't done any sort of training as it is. I average 25,000 steps a day at work. So I do keep quite active. I play indoor cricket. I play cricket on the weekends. I don't have an issue when I'm out bush. I'm not tired at the end of the day if I'm in the hills all day. Victoria's a little bit different. As you know, it can be some pretty wild, steep terrain down there. But I'm not going to be moving at a rapid rate, so it's not going to be anything out of my normal activities. Walking, I've done a couple of. I did a week. I did a day, half a day the other week, just with my pack, just to see how it ran. See the weight distribution, sort of fiddle around with it. Well, I did 4 hours with the pack, didn't take it off, and I was comfortable the whole time. Pack sat well, and I was fully loaded, had everything in there, and I even put an extra bit of weight in there as well, just to, if I had to carry something out, put an extra about 7 or 8 kilos, I think it was. Rifle on, and did some down near the south coast, some pretty steep sort of country, just to see how it didn't move around too much, because I've heard people say that it moves around a fair bit on the frame. I didn't have that. I put all my heavier stuff down the bottom of the pack, and the lighter sort of bulky stuff up the top, and it sat quite well. I've got a Stony Creek gunsling, so I can fit the rifle to the pack, and keep my hands free on the walks. But yeah, no training. I'll definitely have to do some for New Zealand, because that's quite a long trip and some pretty hardcore country in different conditions. So yeah, no training. As I'm pretty active.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call myself fit, but I'm bush fit. I don't have any issues going out in the bush all day. So.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. No, good. Yeah, just on that Kuyu pack, I've had a couple of Kuyu packs over the years, and the original one I had was it was the line that they stopped making. Anyway, whatever it was and it was basically a straight pack. It didn't have the side pockets on it. And that I found sat really well. It really felt like it was stuck to your back. And then I changed it, and I got the Pro 6200, I think it is.
Yeah.
And that's the one with the side pockets on it as well. And that one I found had that sort of slop that they talk about. And what I think it was, or what I kind of worked out what it was the pockets, because the straps come around the pockets, and that's where you tension them on, and that's what holds the pack onto the frame. So you've just got to be mindful, or what I found was I really had to be mindful what I was putting in those side pockets, and really cranking them up and getting some good tension on them. So if you had something in there that was sort of hard or lumpy or angled funny, so that the strap, the buckles actually slowly sort of undid, when they're on a funny angle, the tension, the friction doesn't work properly, and so they slowly sort of loosen off. So like I couldn't run a tripod in there, for example, because just the way it was, it sort of bent that at the wrong angle, and then
Yeah.
it would loosen off. But other than that, yeah, I haven't. Once you sort of got over that, that seemed to resolve that issue.
Yep. Yeah. No, I'm happy with it. Yeah, I think how I've got it set up, and my weight distribution is going to work well. One other thing I did want to mention was the rescue swag. So
Hmm.
it's got first aid, it's got a sling, it's a splint, it's a mobilisation, and it's a snake bite kit in there as well. So this time of year, any time of the year down in Victorian High Country, you got the copperheads, the alpine copperheads are always out early.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of good bodies down in Victoria in the thick stuff. So that's something I've purchased from, I think it's from Flying Doctors from up your way.
Okay. Yep.
And it's got everything in it. As I said, it's got a split, it's a splint, a sling, it's got your first aid. So you can just sort of, if you do get hit by a snake, you can sort of sit down and either strap it up
Yeah.
or use a splint. And yeah, it's something that I'm going to probably buy another one just to leave in the cruiser. I've got a first aid kit in the cruiser, but it's quite big and
Mm.
bulky. But
Mm.
this is just perfect. I think not too much weight, but if it's to save your life, you can deal with a little bit extra weight and pack.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's another
Yeah,
form of insurance, isn't it? It's
yeah, yeah,
yeah. When you
yeah,
when you need it, you're going to be bloody grateful that you got it, but
yeah.
you might carry it for the next 10 years and never use it.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But yeah, good, cheap insurance. Cheap
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So look, the second part is obviously going to be post hunt for you, and we'll do a bit of a breakdown and discuss what your learnings were on that. Um, so are you going to be posting things as you're going and post hunt on your Facebook and Instagram?
I want to sort of because I've got a good thing going with a new page I started up a couple of weeks ago. I'm trying to get as much content on there and as I can, anything related to Sambar, especially in New South Wales.
Hmm.
It's only been up for 3 weeks and we've got about 1,300 members already. We've done a couple of prize giveaways. I've got some merch printed up, some nice shirts with a nice little bit of artwork on the back
Yeah.
for New South Wales sambar hunters because they're becoming more prevalent up here,
Yeah.
and it's a good thing. Um, as I said, I love the sambar, and now that I've seen them all the way up in Tamworth. I've seen a hind up on one of my blocks up at Tamworth about 12 months ago.
Yeah.
So they're pushing right up, and the quality head's really good. On that page of mine, there we had one. He was a 34 inches shot on the south coast. Really big wide spread on him. There was a nice 32 incher, I think, shot up near Central Coast.
Yeah.
So it's good quality heads up there. So I want to keep the content going on it, and we've got another sort of we're leading into another range of apparel that a mate and I that are working on. Sort of aligning it with mental health initiative I've started at work. I'm a
Hmm.
big advocate for mental health. I was self-employed for a long time. We got stung big time. We lost everything. We had to sell everything. My wife and I sort of worked hard to get that company up and running and was quite successful for a long time. And then, yeah, got stung by a couple of builders and just put us all backwards.
Mm.
And I went through some pretty rough times, sort of back end of 2014 and 15. I lost a lot of friends. I found out who my real friends were.
Mm.
And my wife was my rock. But with the mental health thing, it's something that I'm very open to discussing all the time. I do my barbecues. I wear the funky shirt on a Friday, the conversation starter.
Yep.
And with our line of apparel, we're going to align it with a institutes that like Black Dog. Our charity event next week for works with Black Dog. So I'm sort of going to have a bit of a chat with the guys over there. But we want to do donations from all our sales. Profit, like part of our profits, is going to go to Black Dog.
Hmm.
And because I use the bush and I use the ocean to sort of get me through my darkest days.
Yep.
And that's why I think the backpack hunt is something that I've always wanted to do, just to test. Because as I said before, I don't have too much trouble spending time on my own. Quite happy in my own thought process. But the mental health side of things is we the bush gives you good mental well-being. It's
Yep.
something that if you we're in touch with the bush and the ocean, and the more that you can get out and get yourself into the just out of the city into the bush. and just get in touch with nature. It's a bit of a cliche saying, but you need to do it. It
Yep.
keeps me doing what I'm doing, especially I've got a high responsibility job. I run big 30, 40, $50 million projects, a lot of responsibility on me, a lot of stress. But I use my little reset at the end of the week. If I'm out
Yep.
in the bush or I'm out in the ocean or under the ocean, it's something that helped me through, and I want to give back. I'm open to discussion all the time at work. Always, my phone's always on. Doors always open. So it's something that we need, especially in our industry, in the construction industry. A lot of people are getting burnt.
Yep.
It's really bad at the moment, especially down here in New South Wales, because our system doesn't look after the little fellas. There's so many of these big companies just winding up owing hundreds of millions, and it breaks my heart because these guys work their butt off, and such as myself, and it can all just get flipped on its head just
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
Someone doesn't pay you,
Yeah.
and I want to give back to the hunting community and just show them that we're thinking about people and trying to get the message out there.
Yeah. No, 100% agree with you, Rick. Previous career I had was quite mentally taxing, and so I used to use that time in the bush, time away as that reset, like you said,
Yeah,
and that ability to keep your
keep
mental
going.
health
Yeah,
healthy. Yeah.
yeah,
And unfortunately, in this country, the suicide rate of men, in particular young men, is far too high and disturbingly high. And a lot of those are tradesmen or in the
they
building
are.
industry. So yeah, no, I hear you 100%. Yeah. All right, mate. Yeah. Again, thanks so much for taking the time. I know you're busy. I know you got family and stuff as well. Um, but I look forward to seeing what comes on Instagram from
Yep.
the trip, and wish you all the best. And when you get back, we'll connect again, and that'll be part two.
No, thank you for having me on, Tobias. It's
Yeah,
been good. Been a
yeah.
good chat.
All right, welcome to part two of the recording with Rick Bichel. Rick, you've now been on your trip, tested out your gear, had some success and some failures, no doubt, along the way. So, yeah, might just hand over to you to run through. Start where you want to start.
Oh, start with the weather. She was hot.
Hmm.
I knew it was going to be warm, but I think the first day wasn't too bad. Second and third day were really hot. Over 30 degrees. I think day three we got to 33 degrees and just windy as well. So not really ideal conditions for deer hunting.
Hmm.
But really happy with the spot I picked. It's going to be very productive sort of catchments, or the three catchments I sort of covered. I think are going to be very productive at the right time of year. It'll just be a matter of trying to nail down and work out exactly when that time of the year is going to be for those areas.
Yep.
So yeah, no deer shot,
Mm.
but plenty of positives that come out of that trip. It was
Yep.
good.
Yep. All right. So no deer were harmed in the making of this podcast.
Not at all, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have. Yeah, would have been tough recovery. Even on the last day out, it was still quite warm, and I had about 6Ks. I think it was about 4Ks. The crow flies, about 6Ks. I think I ended up tracking over about 5 hours. So by the time I got camp packed up, about 7. I think I got back to the car about midday, sort of thing. So it
Yep.
wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Okay. Oh well. I suppose weather's weather, isn't it? Like it's
It was
what's the old saying? There's no such thing as bad weather. It's just having the wrong clothing.
exactly right. I actually bought a pair of the new Stone Glacier pants.
Hmm.
Just the light version of their hunt pants. Like they don't have them in a camo. That's anything with the Stone Glacier. They just got the plain colours.
Yep.
Picked up a pair from Mansfield hunting fish when I was in Mansfield for the morning. Really happy with them. Nice, really long zip down the side, so you can dump a fair bit of heat.
Hmm.
Plenty of pockets and nice and light, and good stretch in them too. So when you're sort of climbing through that heavier sort of terrain, they work with you, not against you. So no, I was
Yeah.
quite happy with them.
Yeah. 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 I have looked at those. I do like Stone Glacier gear. I guess my only issue with the pants is compared to the Kuyu pants is the Kuyu have got the mesh against their hip vents. So you open it up, you don't have stuff automatically falling in, whereas the Stone Glacier, they don't have any mesh there. So it's just, that's probably the only thing. But, a lot of I guess where they're designed for in Alaska and America, they don't have the types of plants and problems with bugs that we do as much.
Yeah. So I sort of grabbed them for a bit of future use, like in New Zealand, if it is too hot to wear, sort of the Kuyu gear that I've got, sort of slip on them a little bit lighter. If it is a bit warmer towards the sort of end of spring, or we'll start of spring when we're over there. So, dual purpose and sort of a bit of the hotter months in Australia as well.
Yeah. All right. So, do you want to start with your gear then? Go through what stuff worked well and what stuff you're thinking you might change for the next one?
So, wasn't too many things I'd change. I think I did my due diligence in fair bit of research and picking out people's brains in regards to what works for them. Few items would probably be a bit more water retention on the hotter trips. I only had sort of like a 3 litre, my 3 litre Camelback inside the pack, and then I had 2 sort of 1 litre packs as well that come with that Sawyer system.
Yep.
I think because I was tracking down every day into water and I was drinking pretty much, I think I was getting through about 8 litres, 9 litres a day. And so I was topping up twice. I was topping up sort of mid-morning once I got down on the bottom of the catchments, and then topping up again at like after nightfall. And so I had water for the morning and also my trip back back into camp. Just stuff for breakfast and also the first half of the next day. So I think water was probably could have carried a little bit more water. I'd be happy to carry a little bit extra weight, an extra maybe 2 litres, maybe 3 litre reservoir might be on the shopping list. I took a little bit too many clothes for some reason, but like really only like over 4 days I think I got changed twice. Change your underwear and your socks and that regularly, but unless you're getting filthy dirty or you get covered in blood, I don't think you see the necessity in carrying as many clothes as what I did. Probably less of the maybe items as well. So a couple of little packs I had just with a lot of little bits and pieces that you may use them, you may not use them. I think on those extended trips you'd probably be able to cut a lot of those things out and just go with the real bare essentials. Sleeping was quite good with my sleeping gear. I was quite happy with the mat and my pillow. The first night I was slipping and sliding around. I was on a little bit of an incline. So I ended up actually moving camp the next midday the next day to I found a nice bit of flatter ground when I was sort of on the morning hunt. And so a mattress protector that just sort of minimises that slipping and sliding around if you are actually in your sleeping bag. Other things would probably be my camera bag setup. It was a little bit noisy trying to get the camera out. I did spook a hind trying to get my camera out, the zipper on it. Whether or not I go to like the clasp system on your pack strap, or the over shoulder strap. I'm yet to decide yet because I was running the quite a large camera with the microphone on top, so to be able to get it out, get it set up, even if you had to put the microphone on, you're making a fair bit of noise and it takes you a bit of time. So because I was wearing it in a pouch, like a camera bag on my hip, on the strap of the bag. It wasn't too bad if you sort of spotted them from a bit of distance, but if you sort of bumped them a bit, you want to pull the camera out quick enough, sort of make a bit of a noise with the zip on it. With the gun setup, I was quite happy just with the Stony Creek scabbard. I was able to sort of lift the rifle up a bit, slide the scabbard out and pull it out without making too much noise and got it out quite quick. I like running with a bipod. I didn't run with a bipod this time because I had like a monopod with the smart rest on top of it. But I think for ease, especially Sambar, you have to usually get set up pretty quickly or you're shooting on the fly. So I think that I might go back to a bipod on a rifle, and probably wouldn't. If I was going to have too much wind or I knew there was going to be a bit of wind, I probably wouldn't have taken the drone. It's a fair bit of weight to carry around. It takes up a bit of pack. pack room and that. So, but other than that, I was pretty happy with most of my choices. I think I packed bang on for meals. I didn't have much left when I come out. I think I had one snack bar and half a pack of red frogs. But I think I was pretty bang on with the food that I took in. So yeah, they were pretty much the main ones that I had issues with. And I'm going to have to do something about the pack noise. The pack does slide a bit on if you're not fully packed and done everything cinched right tight down. It does move a bit on the frame and just squeaks a bit.
Yeah.
So I think a double-sided Velcro in sort of some strategic places will sort of slow that noise down.
Yeah, that is a inherent problem in the KU packs. That was one thing I noticed with both the packs that I had, and a mate of mine had one as well. What I ended up doing was, down where the carbon frame goes into that saddle on the bottom there, that curved piece, I ended up putting quite a bit of powdered graphite in there, and I found that tended to tamper the noise down a bit. A lot of it seemed to be coming from there, but. Yeah, when you read forums and so forth in the KU forum, you can see quite a few blokes complain about that creaking noise.
Yeah. But overall, it was quite comfortable pack to wear. Like I wore it pretty much. I think I stopped twice on the way out for just to sit down. Didn't really take the pack off. I took the pack off once. So that was 5 hours with it on my back, and I weighed it when I got back to the car, and it was I think 21 kilos. Just the pack, not the bino and the rifle, just the pack. So I was quite happy with how comfortable I was for that long period of time, and I was sort of moving for some heavy terrain. So I was taking my time because the floor was quite noisy. There was a lot of sign, even across all the roads. I sort of trucked along the road for about 1 kilometre, then dropped down into the contours. But I was very happy with the comfort of the pack overall.
Yeah.
Is a big thing. Like I had a little bit of a rub, I think, on just one of the ribs. I think might have been on the other side where my rifle was, but other than that, I had no issues. It was actually quite comfortable.
Yeah. Packs are one of those things like boots. You never they feel great in the showroom when you put a little bit of weight in them and walk around on a nice level surface. But when you get out in the bush and you sort of load them up a bit, that's when you realise all the places they rub on you or pull in the wrong way and so forth. But it's there's a trick to finding the right pack. Now you said you used 8 to 9 litres a day. Was that for cooking and coffee and drinking, or was that just what you were consuming?
That was just my breakfast only takes up a little bit of water. I just had the rolled oats with the dried fruit and a bit of powdered milk in it. So minimum water. I think I'm only boiling around for that. And my coffee in the morning is about 400 ml of water. I'd boil. I'd have my Huntsmart hydrolytes. So I mixed that into about 1 litre of water as well. But the rest of it was pretty much just water consumption, just trying to keep my hydration levels up because of the heat. And I was moving through some areas. Day 2, I sort of sat down in the afternoon for about 5 hours, just wanted to try and let everything settle and hopefully something come through, because I found a really good catchment. I had rub trees, I had preach trees, there was tracks running through. But it was it all seemed around 2 to 3 weeks old. So I think I missed the action by probably a month to 3 weeks at the most.
Yeah. All right. I'll get you to send me the GPS coordinates later on.
So, I was a bit silly. I posted up some photos, and I posted a picture of my watch and the time, and I realised I had the GPS coordinates on, so I pulled it down pretty quickly. So unless you're looking and you sort of realise what you're looking at on that watch, somebody wants to go in there, good luck to them. It is quite heavy terrain and it's not easy to get into, so you need a decent four-wheel drive to get to the top of the head of the track. So I think it is going to be a very good solid catchment at the right time of year.
Yeah. And with the filming and so forth that you were doing, was that with the intention of you going to look to produce a YouTube video, or was it just for the sort of shorts on social media and so forth?
Most of the shorts on social media at the moment. Once I sort of get enough content to think about having a bit of a crack at YouTube content, I might even think about it. It's just time of the essence at the moment. I've got a fair bit on at work and trying to get as many hunts in as well. And sort of kids are getting older, so the weekends are getting chewed up a bit as well. So just trying to find that balance. And yeah, I'd like to share some of my adventures in that. I'm sort of doing a lot of filming of myself, talking through what I'm going through on that day and what I'm about to do. So hopefully I can provide some good content at one stage there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know a couple of blokes I've spoken to that sort of do a bit of filming and so forth, and Jason from Liquid Antler that I've done a couple of trips with. They're all sort of running that some sort of clip mount on their shoulder harness, whether it's the Peak Designs or the is it Cotton? What's the other one? Something Cotton, I think it is, which is kind of the bigger one. It's kind of a padded system. But anyway, they seem to be the two main ones that people are running and carrying the camera right there so they can get to it quickly and reasonably quietly as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sort of have a look at some reviews and check out some few options in that. I've got a pretty good camera shop near work at the moment, so I'll pop down there and have a bit of a look and see what actually works for me. So yeah, that was probably the only issues I had with filming and that. I took my Manfrotto tripod. My new Vanguard didn't arrive in time, which has got the option to turn it into a monopod. But Manfrotto was quite good. It was not too heavy, being the carbon fibre model, the B3 model, I think it is.
Yep.
So yeah, no, it's good. Everything sort of sat well on the pack. Didn't have too much movement once everything was all cinched down.
Yeah. I've got one of the very early B3 Manfrotto tripods, but mine's aluminium, so I couldn't afford
There's too much difference in the weight.
No, there wasn't a great deal of difference, and there was quite a bit of difference in price, and I just couldn't justify the extra price. So yeah. And you mentioned about getting a bipod for the next one. What are you thinking about there?
See, that's a stick. Yeah, I'm not too sure whether I want to lash out and spend big money on a carbon fibre one. I'm still I'm not too sure exactly where I'm going to go. I've just got a couple of cheaper ones on some of my other rifles that I run, just as like a sort of backup if you haven't got any tree to rest up against, or you got to take that longer shot and you can't take it freehand. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with the bipod, but I think it's just a better option.
Yeah. Are you running anything on your stock? You got a pick rail or a flush mounts or anything like that yet?
No, I don't have any of that sort of stuff. I'm just running a leather shoulder strap. That's about it.
Okay.
It's got a Picatinny rail on top of that Beretta, but on my ticker, which I'll probably be taking to New Zealand, I don't have anything on it. Or whatever Jeff's going to do to it, Jeff Borg, I'm getting him to do a fair bit of work to it. I was planning on taking the Beretta once I got the 300 Win Mag barrel conversion, but once I nearly fell over when I found out the price of them last week or the week before. They're quite expensive considering how expensive the rifle is. It's something I'm going to have to weigh up, but I think the confidence levels and just reliability, I think the ticker with a little bit of work done, do a bit of Cerakoting and flute the bolt and a few little other bits and pieces, whether or not upgrade the scope might be an option in the next year, but I'm just comfortable behind that rifle, so I think that's going to be the one I'll take with me. So
yeah. Look, I mean, there's one thing, we are spoilt with choice in firearms accessories. We don't have the access to the stuff they do in America, but we're not far behind. So there's a couple of good options in terms of bipods. The Spartan system's obviously very neat, very tidy, because all you got to do is drill a hole and it sits underneath the surface of your stock. You can mount it externally, but there are other options where you can put a Picatinny rail, a small Picatinny rail, or an Arca rail or something like that on there too. So yeah.
There's plenty good options out there these days. But yeah, it's just what's going to work for me, as you know, is the big factor.
Yep, and it comes down to the credit card as well at the time too, and how hard you want to bounce that.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. Any did you track your Ks? How far you're walking?
Day one, I think I was around, because I sort of got dropped off around 11 o'clock in the morning. Hunted that afternoon after I set up camp. I think the first day I only covered about 4K. Day 2 was over 10K. It's just because I moved over to another catchment, and I didn't want to I thought about moving camp to get closer to it and then making it easier for the next day, but I just wanted to keep it sort of quiet because I was sort of in between. I'll touch on it a bit later on about the spotlighters that on the first night. But yeah, so around 10K second day. Third day, I went down and sat in the catchment for most of the day. So I think there's only about 6Ks I did on day 3. And day 4 was my walkout. So I think I ended up about 6Ks all up. As you know, with Sam, you don't really need to walk too far. You just have to control your walking, control your speed, let them sort of walk to you. If you're not spotting them from a distance, you got to move slow with salmon. That's my big tip that I give everyone. They're out chasing salmon, they don't see them, but they know that they're in the area. It's just slow down. So the weather and also the species of deer sort of controlled how much I was walking each day.
Yeah. Any issues with bugs, mozzies and flies? And
the mozzies were insane.
Yeah.
Like even in the morning, like because I was getting down into the contours, probably halfway down into the contours in the shaded areas where I thought the deer might have been just sort of mulling around in the cooler areas. They were insane until about 10 o'clock, 10:30, and as soon as like the sun went down, you didn't have any sun on you. They just come out from everywhere and they were relentless. Like I think the first afternoon I was completely. I had my rain jacket on, I had my gloves on, I had my my face gaiter on, my beanie on, everything, just my little eye slits, and just sat, try and kept all my skin covered up because they were just ruthless, absolutely insane.
Yeah, and they're determined little buggers too. They'll find a way to get that needle through the bloody clothing and into you.
Yeah. Well, I was wearing my the QU Peloton tops, which is quite thin. And they just go straight through that. So they end up putting the rain jacket on just to keep the little beaks from punching through me clothing. So no, they were everywhere. But I used back at camp. I had my little thermocell, which just attaches to your gas canister, and you just have like a little mozzie pad that slides in the top, and it just heats that mozzie pad up. And it gives you around, I think it's about 25 metre radius. And once that's on and you're sort of getting your fire set up, they sort of just disappear. So at night it wasn't too bad. Just make sure you keep your tents zipped up and minimal opening and closing them. But yeah, no, they were pretty bad. Much flies were insane as well. So because it's quite warm, so you got a lot of exposed skin during the day, and the march flies, as soon as you stop, it sounds like they follow you because they're just always in the background. You can always hear them.
Yeah,
they were pretty insane.
Yeah.
And they hurt too. The big ones, they're about the size of your thumbnail. Some of those big marsh flies.
Yeah, they're when you got one on you, that's for sure. And then after you get bitten, then you get real angry and get revengeful, don't you? And you almost want to shoot them if you could.
Yeah.
Now, obviously at this time of year the gates were open, so the roads were accessible to cars, and you touched on the issue then before about some spotlighters, so you had a bit of a experience there.
It was quite sort of, it was scary because there wasn't just one spotlighter. There was 4 cars, it was 4 Forbies. I could see their headlights, so I had two on the opposite ridge to me, which I ranged at around 1,300 metres away straight line. And then, because where I was, it was sort of, the tracks had been bulldozed at each end, and the track would probably be about 3K long from where bulldozed end to the other bulldozed end. And I was sort of in the middle of there, so they couldn't actually get too far into me. But by the time, so they started, I spotted them about 8:30 when I was sort of having a bit of dinner after I got back to camp. And then I heard the first 3 shots ring out. And they sort of mulled around the same area for a bit. And then 2 more trucks come up, both sides of the catchment on either side of me. And then one was only, I reckon he would have been about 800 or 900 metres away from me because I was camped more towards one end of the track. And he stopped and let off 3 or 4 shots. So all up, there was probably 10 to 12 shots I heard in about an hour and a half. So there was obviously deer in there, and they were having a good crack. But I was on the phone to my wife, and she was sort of freaking out a bit about the noise and what I was actually telling her. She's like, it's scaring the hell out of her.
Yeah.
You don't know where those bullets are going to go.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
don't. It's pretty rampant down there. And I was speaking to my mate who dropped me in there, and he goes, mate, we call the police, and they say they got probably 30 calls a night, and they just don't have the resources all the time to be able to get to any of them or the vehicles sometimes. So these guys know that, and they either cover up plates and they just do what they do, and then they disappear each night. So that was the Thursday night. Friday night, I had a bit more sort of normal traffic coming through with the weekenders and that. So I only heard probably only about 3 shots earlier on in the evening, and that was about it on the Friday night. Nothing on the Saturday. I'm guessing they sort of try and keep away on the weekends, so a little less covert on the weekends. The other traffic around, but where I was sort of left alone. But it's just eerie seeing them there, and the lights flashing everywhere, and the gunshots going off. They were using some pretty heavy calibers as well. So
yeah, it's disappointing, but as you say, it's been going on for a long time, and the police just aren't resourced well enough. And this is probably where the argument could be made for some sort of similar system to like they have in the US, where people have to purchase tags and animals have to be accounted for, and it goes towards funding game warden style units that can actually come and be resourced specifically to combat this sort of thing. Because the last thing we want is the state government using this as an excuse to lock the gates and keep people 100%. Out, permanently. So
it's pretty unnerving. It sort of stopped. I didn't really want to go to bed until sort of it stopped, but it stopped about 10 o'clock. Ended up getting in the stack not long after that, but it's pretty rampant down there. Like, I know New South Wales has its issues, but that area where I was is quite renowned for the spotlighters being in there, and they just have a free run most nights. And it's not good for hunters in general. I don't call them hunters because they're not really hunting. They're just out there killing animals under spotlight, which isn't very sporting to me.
Yeah, I know. Driving around the tracks there, and sometimes you'll come across a carcass there that's just had the head removed and nothing else taken from it, and it's quite obvious that it's just been spotlighted and just complete waste. So
what are they doing with these heads? Are they putting them on their walls and bragging about them, or what? Like, I don't understand. Like, where's your moral fibre?
Yeah, that's right.
Comes to that?
Yeah.
I did find a dead yearling right down on a creek bed. Didn't see any bullet wounds in it or anything, or bite marks or anything. Like, it looked pretty much intact. It only probably would have been, I'd say, a week old. I reckon it might have been spotlighted or something up higher in the ground, and it's just worked its way down in the creek bed, and that was its sort of last little hiding spot right on the creek bed in the blackberry thickets. But yeah, no, it was pretty bit crap to see that poor little fella down in the creek bed dead.
Other than that experience, were there any other downsides to the trip? Any other negative things you experienced?
Not seeing any decent stags was probably a downside.
Yeah.
I did see some good spikers that are very healthy looking animals. Plenty of good hinds. I think I've seen 4 hinds all up. 2 good spikers. First one, he was about 700 metres away right on last light. And then I think he was the one that was honking at me when I was walking out after dark. It was always just how you going sort of thing. Wait all night for it, wait all afternoon for them, don't see a thing. Then as soon as you get up, that head torch moves, you honk.
They love doing that, don't they? Yeah.
And that's that sixth sense that kicks in with them. They just know something's not right, even though you don't move moved much at all, and you're pretty well covered. It's just the haunting honk of a walkout after dark.
Yep, yep. And what was the most positive thing out of the trip?
Just the amount of sign, and the lack of human sign. There was no rubbish. I did not see one sort of empty beer bottle or Snickers wrapper or Macca's cup or anything in these 3 catchments in 3.5 days. It was quite actually. I'm considering how much traffic sort of moves around the exterior side of those couple of catchments. It was great. There was so much. The water was nice and clean down in the catchments. There was no rubbish. There was heaps of sign, heaps and heaps of sign. Probably the most amount of sign I've seen in a good Sambar area. The only thing I didn't find was wallows, which was unsure why. Just maybe the ground doesn't allow because it was quite shaly. Even on the creek beds are quite shaly. So I don't think it creates that mud, which may or may not keep the bigger stags out of the area. But even the rubs and that, you can sort of, as you know, you can sort of judge from the brow tine sort of marks and the top tine. You can sort of get a gauge of how big the actual the stag is that's rubbing those trees.
Yep.
And one of the preach trees, he was a long way up and he had mud a long way up, probably. I reckon it was well over my head. He had mud rubbed up against the tree, so there must have been some decent animals in there during this peak of the season. So I think the rut would probably be late October in that area. Where are we? Yeah, late September in that area, maybe mid-September.
Yep.
Which sort of coincides with my New Zealand trip next year. So I might even aim to find a velvet stag in there earlier on, try and get a 222 in before we go over to New Zealand. Brett's going to come down from Darwin, and I'm going to go down and check those catchments out when he's down here. So hopefully we can find something in there because it just looked too promising to have nothing in there.
Yeah. Some of those rub trees are really impressive when you see the depth of the gouges that they're making with their antlers. You know, like you could put a 20-cent piece in some of them, and
Yeah, and there was just strips of them. You could just see where he's just smashing ghost gums. The tracks looked like the Chinese army had walked through there. There was that much, like it'd been worn down that much, and just every tree on each side, whether it was a sapling or it was a decent sized ghost gum, they were just smashing everything.
Yeah.
So it was like, wow, this would be a nice catchment at the right time of year. You'd be able to get plenty of footage. You'd be able to see plenty of animals. But yeah, I'm excited to get back there. I'm just spewing I missed it by a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That's hunting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's life, mate. You've got young kids and a wife to keep happy, and job to run, and all of that sort of thing. So
Yeah. No, it's looking forward to getting down. I might even take my young because he's 12 in end of January, so he'll be going for his junior shooter's license. So it might be a good little spot to get him in there and get him season. He's already been behind the rifle when he was a bit younger, taking some deer and that, but be a good one for him to actually set him up. He'd be able to carry his own rifle in, set him up, and take the animal.
Yeah.
So it'd be a good little spot for him.
Yeah. My young fella just got his miner's license as well. So came in the mail the other day. So looking, hopefully, maybe next year do similar sort of thing. Get down there in September and school holidays and. Yeah. All right. Before we talk about the I want to pick your brain a little bit about New Zealand, what your intention is there. But after the last sort of episode, you and I had a bit of a chat around some mental health things that you're involved in. So I guess if we can segue from the trip and how that sort of helped your mental health. And then, if you want to explain a bit more about the other things that you're doing along that line.
Sure. I'm more than happy to talk about it. So I work in construction. I work a pretty high responsible job for a very reputable builder in Sydney, and we have a lot of pressures on us. We have a lot of responsibility. I use hunting and fishing and the great outdoors just as my little reset. We all need it, especially those who live in capital cities. There's always something on. There's always pressures. There's mounting financial pressures these days. And I was a victim of a not so ethical builder a few years ago, probably about 10 years ago. We had a roofing company, and we didn't get paid on a couple of jobs, and it put a lot of pressure on my wife and my relationship. We had quite a successful company for a while. I had a business partner pass away a couple of years before that. So it put me in a pretty dark spot. And I spiraled a little bit, but I lent on a couple of friends who introduced me to some sports, some spearfishing, and I ended up finding some friends that did hunt. So I was able to get back into hunting. And then I used hunting solo, just by myself, which I found the best way to deal with everything that I had going through my mind, because once you're out in the bush or once you're under that ocean, it's you and those elements, and it allows you to just have that little reset. You go into your own little world. And I found that was my way of dealing with the pressures and the issues that I was going through in my life, it was tough. Like, it put a lot of strain. My wife, she's a rock, so she supported me in everything I did, and she still allows me to do whatever I want, which a lot of my friends and that find hard to believe, but she understands what it means to me. So it's good to have a partner that does give you that freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it, within reason. I get pulled up every now and then if I am taking the piss, but I do get a pretty good free rein. But she knows it's made me the person I am now, and sort of that. I had a mental health initiative at my previous company that they sort of rolled out with the tradie mutton allowed shirt, funky shirt Friday. So I'd do my barbecues on my sites. I'd wear the shirt on the Friday, and it was just that little conversation starter. And then I'd just do my toolbox talk as well. Then I'd just roll out onto the fact that I understand the pressures that everyone is going through in the building industry. I've been there. I've seen it all. I've come out on the other side, luckily, because I had friends, I had family, and I had companies that had support me through it. Now I've been with my company for 2 years, and they're a very supportive company. Melbourne Cup Day, we raised around just under $500,000 for Black Dog Institute.
Wow.
And stuff like that means a lot to me. So I put forward an initiative to roll out the tradie mutt and the barbecues again, with a little bit of an added twist where I'd take my game meat into the barbecues and expose what we have on offer out in the bush that is there, free. Go and get it.
Yep.
And it was well received. I just did some venison fajitas with a bit of round steak. Prepped it all the night before, cooked all the veggies, heated up some fajitas, and just served the barbecue. Then I just it allowed me to break the ice, and then it gave me the time to be able to let people know what my story was. And I think they appreciate me being as open as I am about it, and the fact that they might not have the support that I have, or that I had.
Yep.
But I want to let them know that I am here always. My door's always open in my side office. Phone's always on. If you want to go for a coffee, you want to go for a beer, talking's the first stage. That's the biggest hurdle as well, because Aussie men, they're known for their masculinity, and the old saying, you're weak if you speak, that's changed, especially in today's society. The younger blokes these days, a little bit more sensitive than how we were brought up on a job site. So you do have to sort of, it's a game of reading people every day. You don't know exactly what happened the night before. You don't know what happened the week before. You don't know if they haven't been paid by other builders. So it's something that you need to sort of read every day with the guys that you have on site. So that's my spiel on mental health and the initiative that I rolled out and how I used to deal with it and how I want to help. I'm more than happy to take people out if they want to go fishing, if they need to have a talk, if they want to go for a walk around the bush. It's just that getting that initial conversation started, which is the biggest step. And it was well received. I had a couple of guys come and talk to me after it. So if it only helps one guy for all the efforts that I do, I'm more than happy to. I'm happy with with my results.
Yeah, very admirable, Rick. And I mean that genuinely. I like we spoke about. I do have an interest in mental health myself, and statistically in Australia, the 15 to 40-year-old males, the highest cause of death is suicide. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not artificial. It's not disease related. It's by their own hand. And I believe the statistics are that a significant proportion of those people are actually tradespeople as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, very real issue there. And like I spoke about a previous career that I had as well, and how I found value in doing the backpack solo style hunting, and how that, like you said, you're able to sort of reset. Come back to work, come back to being a father, a family man, better off after the trip. So yeah, that's sort of part of the reason why I'm doing the podcast, is to promote that activity and help people to get out there and realise how that it is accessible, and things that might have been holding them back don't necessarily have to hold them back anymore. But yeah. Absolutely well done, mate, with all of that.
Think about. Yeah, it's we've got another one on Thursday. And even my marketing team are looking at coming in and doing some photography and pushing it nationwide throughout our company. So that means a lot to me, because it's been recognised by my peers, and they want to make sure it's getting supported well. So it's great. It's what needs to be done, because I found the Are You OK thing was a bit stale. It was in everyone's face all the time, but the fact that it was only done once a year sort of counteracts the intent of it.
Yeah.
So I think this one, it's a bit more sort of subtle. It's only done once a week. It's only just a shirt, but I do a barbecue once a month, and it just helps people realise there's people there that want to help them, and they don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, good stuff. Rightio. So New Zealand.
Yes.
Give us a quick rundown on what your plans are for New Zealand.
Okay, so we're looking at a 10-day backpack hunt, chop it in. Destination yet to be decided. We're going with, there's myself, there's my mate Brett, who I hunt with regularly up in Northern Territory. I've known Brett since he was a young fella. He was an apprentice for a builder mate of mine, and I didn't even know he was a hunter. He did a bit of work for me as well, my roofing company. It wasn't until I sort of made friends with him on Facebook a few years later, and hang on, this bloke's bloody hunting. Him and his old man have been hunting for years. So we I think he's about 10 years younger than me, maybe a little bit more, but we've become really good friends, and we've done a fair few hunts together. So it's Brett and I, and we're going with a local. He's a local taxidermist over there, but he does a bit of guiding over in Australia as well. So we've got a good sort of insight to the better spots to go to. We'll do a bit of liaising with the chopper pilots as well, to try and find the areas that haven't been shot out with the aerial shooting. 10 days, chop it in. We're optioning for a second chopper pickup and drop off. If we either find the tar, we shoot some decent tar, then we want to go try and find some chemi, or we don't shoot any, can't find any decent tar, and we want to move to another spot. So that's pretty much in a nutshell 10 days in the mountains by the snow line around sort of end of September. And then after we finish our 10 days, I'm flying my wife and two boys over, and we're going to spend around 2 weeks in Fiordland in a motorhome.
Nice.
And Milford Sound and the South Island, and really taking the scenery.
Yeah. Have you been to New Zealand before?
I have been to New Zealand. I've been to White Island spearfishing. We spent, I think it was 7 or 8 days spearfishing around White Island and Whale Island, out of Whakatane. Flew into Auckland, then down to Whakatane, and then with Joe Burke spearfishing adventures. Went over with Ray Powell, who owns Dive Bar Fins. He organised the trip, and I went with a heap of mates, and it was awesome. I really like New Zealand. I wish I'd able to see a bit more of the country, so that's why I sort of option. I've been getting in a bit of bit of strife with the family about not sort of taking them along on my hunting trips. But as you know, it's a bit hard to sort of sometimes when you're limited for time and you're pretty much hunting the morning and the afternoon. So I think I just will way off with flying them over for the school holidays and spend some time. Might even sneak in a red deer hunt because they'll be still in hard antler around that time of year, from what I heard. So we will still have the rifles with us. So because Brett's going to bring his partner and their newborn over, they're going to do the same thing. Whether or not we sort of track and follow each other or we do our own thing and meet up later, yet to see. But that's pretty much our trip in a nutshell, which I'm really looking forward to. So a lot of YouTube videos I've been watching. I really like J.E. Wilds.
Yep.
He's really good to watch on YouTube. His content's really good. He's got camera presence and he gets the animals too. So he's good to watch.
Yep. Have you seen the South Island rifle walkers?
Yeah, no, they're quite good as well.
Yeah.
Pretty impressed with their content and that as well. So it's exciting. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah. I'm heading over there in May, tar hunting and chasing chamois as well. So I'm not sure about a helicopter. I'm not sure if I can get the budget to stretch that far, and because I'm going to be on my own, I don't have anyone to share the cost with. But so I might just be walking in, doing it the long way. But I've got 3 weeks there anyway, so I'm not in a rush to.
Yeah, well, that's the other trade-off. Like we thought about doing the walk-in, but it was like an extra 2 days on each end if you wanted to still hunt the 10 days, or shorten the trip and cut out half your trip with walking in and walking out. So with the three of us, it should be sort of affordable depending on who we go with and how big of the chopper that we take and how much gear we want to fly in. So there's a few things we need to weigh up, but having an inside help over there is a bit of a benefit as well. So we'll get the right sort of intel and the right pilot to do us good.
Yeah, all right. Well, that sounds great too.
Yeah.
Well, I'll certainly I'll touch base with you anyway after I get back and pass on any information. I know you're going 6 months later or so, but might be something that you find useful. So, Rick, I guess wrapping this up, I can't remember if we spoke about this on the first part of the recording, but you run a Facebook page for New South Wales Sambar hunters.
I do, yes. It's going quite well. We've got our first meetup on Thursday for the Sydney Siders. That's Thursday the 7th of December. I think this will come out a bit after that. But then next year I think it's the second Sunday of January, the South Coast one I think is going to be a big one. It's already got a big following already. Got a mate, Felix, he works down the gun shop down in Nowra. He's hosting it at his place if we don't get too many numbers. But yeah, it's something that's growing quite quickly. We've got a bit of merch out. I'm organising a couple of group hunts for early next year. But it's been well received. It's good because, as you know, everyone thinks Sambar only in Victoria, but the numbers that are coming out of and the quality of the heads that are coming out of New South Wales starting to rival some of those guys down there. So I've been quite fortunate this year. I've got a couple of decent heads off one of my private blocks, but I've seen some decent ones on some public land. So they're out there. That's what I'm trying to get the word out, get everyone out there chasing Sambar because I think they're the best to hunt. I think they're my favourite. They're the most, they're the hardest, I reckon, out of all the species to hunt, especially if you're in close quarters. So yeah, I really want to. That's the reason I started the page, to try and help some people out. I was fortunate to be helped out by a good mate, Cole, who's hunted them for a couple of decades, and he gave me the bug, and it stuck with me over the last. I think I met Cole back in 2015, I think it was, and he's given me the Sambar bug, giving it hard. It's all I think about is Sambar. Like I do like the other species, but I think Sambar are the best to chase.
Yep. And what's the? How do people find that page? What's the name of it?
It's just NSW Sambar Hunters on Facebook. It's a private group, so once you just find the group, I'll approve you. Brett and I are the admins on the page. And yeah, there's some good content getting thrown up. And so we've got the meetups, and so it just helps the guys get a bit of intel into how to chase them, because there's something different than I like chasing fallow out in the fringe country, especially if you're chasing in the thick stuff. So the more info I can give to people, hopefully the more successful people be chasing Sambar, and they'll get the bug as well.
Yeah. All right. And have you got a Instagram as well for people to follow?
I do. My Instagram is Tails and N Trails 8, all one word with an N in the middle. You see all my content that I post up there, and I'm on Facebook as well, just as my name. But send me a friend request. I'm more than happy to approve it. But yeah, no, it's good. The social media is sort of, I was always against it when I was a young fella. When it sort of come out, I'm like, I only sort of, and then I joined because I called it Fish Book when I started getting right into the spearfishing. But now it's pretty much, it's a driving force for everything these days, for advertisements and business, and you can't really stay away from it.
Yeah.
Be under a rock if you did.
Yeah. I do. I am old enough, and you're probably old enough to remember a time when Facebook didn't actually exist, and we used to have to use the phone book and things like that.
Well, even the old man's on Facebook, so that's how shows how the generations have come along these days.
Mm-hmm. Well, mate, I really appreciate your time and contributing to the podcast and coming on and sharing your experience. And like I said, we'll definitely stay in touch. We'll exchange some notes about New Zealand, and maybe after the trip next year, we might have to get you back and do a recount of the NZ trip.
100%. Thank you very much for inviting me on the podcast. It's been great. Had fun.
Hey, thank you for listening in. If you'd like to contact me for a chat, pass on any feedback, or have some ideas for future podcasts, please reach out to me on Instagram at australian_hunting_backcountry, or email australian.hunting.backcountry@outlook.com.au. For now though, please look after yourselves and your mates.